A few months back, I made a video covering a bunch of ROM hacks for various N64 games. Following that video, I got a lot of requests to do a dedicated one on Mario 64 ROM hacks, but a lot of the reason I did the N64 video in the first place was because of just how oversaturated that topic is. I mean, friends of mine have already cornered that market a long time ago. Not to say I'd never do it, but for the time being, I wanted to at least cover something slightly less talked about. I mean, let's be honest, you really don't need another guy on the internet talking about Super Mario Star Road. Well, I realized that despite how many people talk about Mario 64 ROM hacks, the well is pretty dry where Mario 64 DS is concerned. It was then that I went on a mission. Scour the internet for any notable hacks that have been made for the DS port of Super Mario 64. There isn't a ton out there, but let's see what I found. First up, here's a demo of a pretty much complete overhaul that recreates Super Mario Sunshine inside Super Mario 64 DS. Now, it's only a demo, so there isn't a ton of content, but what's there is actually pretty solid and contained more to do than I expected out of a demo. You can explore pretty much all of Isle Delfino with the exception of a few blocked off areas, and Flood, along with all of its nozzles, are completely implemented, albeit a bit buggy, but usable by way of altering the cap swapping system of Mario 64 DS. Now, going into this demo, I assumed there would be something like one stage with one star, just to try it out, but to my surprise, not only does the demo contain both Bianco Hills and Rico Harbor, but multiple star missions contained within each, though I can't say I'm not a little let down that they aren't shine sprites. Now, I'm not sure exactly how many there are because I didn't get all the stars, but I was definitely surprised to find that this ended up being a lot more fleshed out than I expected it to be. Delfino Plaza even has some of the secret mini-stages as well. And let me tell you, I would have been sorely disappointed if the Death River was omitted from this hack. Now, like you'd expect from any kind of hack like this, it's not perfect, not even close. It's super buggy with weird collision, and some objects have messed up properties, like the top of the grates acting as quicksand instead of a platform. I experienced a crash when trying to enter the cave in Bianco Hills, and the physics of Flood is just very janky in general, but I do have to say, what's here is pretty fun, and I'd definitely give it a try if you like Sunshine. I'm just impressed they managed to pretty accurately recreate everything they did inside Mario 64 DS's engine. My only complaint about this one is that I didn't have more time to keep playing it. Don't get me wrong, I probably played it longer than I needed to and got a good chunk of it done, but I definitely would have sunk more time into this if it wasn't for the sake of needing to actually finish the videos that I start. This one is called Another Super Mario 3D, and it's basically, well, another Super Mario 64. It has a completely new hub with all new stages and objectives. The castle has been redesigned entirely, and there's even a ton of things to do outside the castle itself. There's tons of castle secret stars and switches to find, all new ways of unlocking the playable characters. This is really well done. Now, of course, with any of these hacks, you're maybe not gonna find that Nintendo polish that official releases have, but if you can look past that typical unofficial jank, this really feels like a whole new Mario 64 game, or at the very least, extremely meaty DLC based on the source material. The levels and star missions that lie within them are actually surprisingly well done, and actually feel like real thought and game design went into them, and honestly felt pretty much every bit as engaging as the official game itself. The game's hub even features a remix of the castle theme using the Bowser sound font, which is what you're currently listening to. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one, only because it's exactly what you'd expect it to be, a really solid Mario 64 remix, and I think the title of the game is pretty telling in that regard. I do gotta say though, my one huge gripe I have is this one star where you have to bump the bully into this pit, and it made me want to rip my hair out. Here's a hack where you get to be Deku Link for some reason. Cleverly enough, they use the cap system to implement Deku Link as a transformation mask, so that's a nice touch, but the actual transformation doesn't do much but gimp Yoshi's abilities. You see, the Deku Link form doesn't have any abilities of its own and only serves to take away Yoshi's flutter jump, and also the tongue thing. You're basically thrown into the beginning of Majora's Mask and have to traverse the woods just like you do in the beginning of that game. Goombas have been model swapped with Deku shrubs, and pretty much all you have to do is go in a linear path defeating shrubs trying to make your way to the end. It's a pretty cool concept and looks really good, but it's extremely short, and the whole thing is over about 3 minutes after it starts. A few rooms in, and you'll reach a dead end that, as far as I can tell, won't let you pass. There's a gap that Deku Link can't cross, and I thought maybe Yoshi's flutter jump could do it, but at that point, I'd already defeated all the shrubs and I had no way to take damage and lose the mask. I realized the only way out was to repeatedly jump off the platform until I died. Once I lost all my health, I ended up respawning outside Peach's castle, and the game just played out like vanilla Super Mario 64 DS. Out of curiosity, I hopped into Bob-omb Battlefield, and lo and behold, all the Goombas are now Deku shrubs. So after you finish this sub 5-minute demo, you'll at the very least get to play through Mario 64 with Zelda enemies, so if that sounds enticing to you, go crazy. I'm kinda disappointed they didn't at least add the bubble spitting feature from Majora's Mask, but oh well. This one's called First Fortress, and apparently it's supposed to add a new hub, a couple stages, and a Bowser fight. When I first booted it up, I noticed that the layout of the castle walls were basically asking for the player to walk around the castle, so I long jumped my way around, but found nothing. So then I went past another castle wall to find the same kind of pathway around the perimeter of the castle. This led to a set of platforms that were obviously begging me to scale them, so I did. Make it up to the top of the castle walls, loop my way around again, to then find another series of platforms, this time with a little gap in between them that I had to jump over. This took me 10,000 tries because the controls of Mario 64 DS, specifically the run button, don't play nicely with quick maneuvers with little space to work with. This would have been about a billion times easier if I hadn't picked up the Mario cap, but instead of restarting, I figured I made my bed and had to lay in it. Eventually though, I triumphed and got to the top of the castle to find nothing. Nothing, and also a hole. Feeling defeated, it was finally time for me to make my way into the castle itself to see what this hack actually has to offer. I stepped inside, and to my surprise, it was just Peach's castle, like the regular one. Went inside Bob-omb Battlefield, and it was just vanilla Bob-omb Battlefield. Upon checking the site I found the hack on, I probably should have paid a bit more attention because all I read prior to playing it was that this is an early alpha build. What I neglected to read was the part where the creator of the hack clearly states that the only thing in this build is outside of the castle and the Mario cap. Oops. This was posted back in 2014 though, so I'm assuming we probably won't be seeing the finished product anytime soon. This one's a short and sweet demo, but what's here is pretty solid and fun, albeit a little barren. Super Mario Journey Lane DS is a one-stage demo with 3 stars and consists of one giant sandbox level. It seems to be built on the hub world itself as opposed to an actual stage, because once you collect a star, you can save and keep moving. So I think all the stars are actually treated like secret castle stars instead of stage mission ones that would typically boot you out of a stage. Now the sound design is really bad, with random sound effects often overlapping one another, making it sound more like straight up dissonant noise pollution as opposed to a sound effect. For some reason, Kirby music is playing in the background, but that's okay, I guess. Like I said, there's 3 stars lying in the level. There's the Womp King from Womp's Fortress, a red coin star, and one of the DS exclusive Switch stars. As far as I can tell, there's no 100 coin star because I collected every coin I could and got nothing. There's no coin counter, so I had no idea whether or not I hit 100, but I think the lack of a counter in and of itself is evidence enough. Also, there's no health gauge and you can't die. Womp squished me about 500 times and I let myself get hit or take fall damage all throughout the playthrough and we still living. This is super basic and all the level geometry amounts to nothing more than a bunch of blocks and grassy fields, but I'll admit, I did have a little fun with this. It's super easy, but there really isn't much to complain about, and I think it's good for a quick 10 or 15 minute Mario 64 romp. Once you collect all 3 stars, a text prompt pops up congratulating you for finishing the demo. It's not much, but I gotta say I was very surprised the game even acknowledges it at all. I honestly don't even know where to start with this one. It's incredibly ambitious. I've just barely scratched the surface while playing it, and I'm pretty sure it's better suited to just have its own dedicated video, but I'll try my best to elaborate while staying concise. Like the Another Super Mario 3D hack, this one is a complete overhaul. An entirely new game built off of Mario 64 DS's engine and assets. So it's called Super Mario The New Beginning, and it features all new levels, including recreations of stages seen in other games like Mario Galaxy and Odyssey, and even some stuff from Banjo-Kazooie, oddly enough. It's really weird how everything is laid out too, and originally I was getting burnt out on the game pretty early on because I could only find a couple of stages, but as I spent more time exploring, different parts of the hub world began to open up in places where I didn't expect. Like for example, there's a whole section of the hub world with multiple stages gated behind a secret exit in another stage. After starting the level pretty close to the beginning of the stage, you go left and go inside this door here, and you come out standing right in front of the Odyssey for some reason. It's weird, it's unconventional, but it's pretty cool. Now, once again, it's not finished, but as far as I can tell, most of the groundwork seems to be there and it's super fleshed out, enough to sink multiple hours into. The level design is a little weird and confusing at times, but that's sort of par for the course with these types of things. There's a few spots where crashes can occur, which is honestly why I stopped playing it. Not that it's extremely common or anything, but I got one of those special crashes that just put you in a bad mood. Anyway, there's a ton of original content here, and this unfinished build alone has enough in it to keep you occupied for hours, so if you take anything away from this video, go give this one a shot. Well, I've saved the best for last. I don't know what this is. All I know is there's barely anything here, all the doors have no collision, jumping into paintings freezes the game, there's only one stage that's basically a Bowser stage that as far as I can tell has no way to access Bowser, and the creator was banned from the website the hack was originally posted on. This is called Super Mario Star Land, and when you first start the game up, it actually looks pretty promising. The art style is a little different with a Rainbow Road aesthetic and throws you into this giant abyss with a castle lying in front of you. So the only thing you can really do is pass through all the broken collision to make your way to the only stage, which is pretty much just rearranged assets from Bowser and the Fire Sea. There's basically nothing here except for some random basic level geometry and thrown together platform assets. If you fall and die, you end up back in vanilla Mario 64 DS in the basement and can't even leave because you don't have the key. 10 out of 10! I'm done. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it and want to see more, there's a couple other videos right there you can check out. And if you want to see everything I upload, click the subscribe button and then the bell icon. And if you want to help support the channel, I also have a Patreon.